How are you?
Okay, finally. I'm good. I'm good. Thank you, Rajat. Sorry about this. Something with the
So
laptop, I think. So,
a lot of our viewers were saying that bring her on screen, and Uma was not ready to come on screen, right?
you have to wait for all good things.
Exactly. So thanks. So kind of you to join us today on Let's Talk Dil Se with Rajat. It's a
My
sheer
pleasure.
pleasure to have you with us, and fortunate. It'll be a good fortune that we'll get insights from you today. So let's start the
Sure.
discussion, Uma. Tell us, how did you start? What was your starting point to get into the gender rights, to become a gender right activist?
Well, I guess a lot of young women from South India can relate to this. All of us were either Rajnikant fans or Kamal Hassan fans when we were young. And
Hmm.
as a Rajnikant fan, I used to be there first day, first show for all his films. And,
Okay.
you know, literally on the day before my 10th public, I'm sitting at a theater for the first day, first show. My exam is on the Saturday, and on Friday, I'm sitting there watching his films, whistling and clapping. And that
Okay.
film somehow disturbed me very deeply because, well, when you're writing your public exam, you're a teenager just on the cusp of moving from, being a young girl into a woman. And at that
Absolutely.
point, when you watch a film like this, it really impacts you very deeply. And I ended up feeling very uncomfortable that night at home because, in the introduction scene, he was basically stalking a girl and, describing her body. And somewhere it disturbed me. And then a few years later, I watched another film where he justifies having a second wife. And I was very taken aback, and because he was my favorite hero, all said and done. And then suddenly here was this man justifying something that I could not accept as a woman. And
Of
then
course.
as a young mother, I realized I didn't want my son to grow up like that, to, accept patriarchy in that sense. And so I ended up wanting to become someone who will not only teach my son how to be sensitive to other people, gender, if you want to call it gender sensitive, but
Okay.
also take it to a whole lot of other young people and change the way people start thinking and, behaving when it comes to engaging with different gender presentations.
Of course. Of course. So being a
Yeah.
gender right
And
activist who have been delivering towards on films towards a similar issue, or there's a lot of work still to be done.
well, there's always parallel work going on in different levels. So, what is really interesting for us now is that at some point somewhere there's going to be uneven growth, and there'll be one part of a space where there's some awareness, and there's another place where there's already gender sensitivity in place. There's another place where there's lots more to be done for basic rights for women and other gender uh, presentations. At least now, the only thing that is really giving us some firm grounding is that the UN and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights has declared women's and girls' rights as integral to human rights, and it has been enshrined in what we call the Millennium Development Goals. So, in a
Okay.
way, it has become a compliance almost for all of us to say, what can I do to ensure that there's gender equality? And then, of course, move into gender equity. And that's a long way to go. We first need to get to
Right.
gender equality.
True.
So,
So
and I found that it's no different from India or the US or wherever I go. There are different issues. There's still a long battle ahead of us when we're talking about gender equality. And I don't just mean
right.
women, that's something we have to clear right at the beginning. But yeah, we'll talk about it as we go along.
Okay. Fair enough. So Uma, in terms of gender equality, 2 years back, our Supreme Court of India, they passed a landmark judgment stating that the LGBTQ community, they will have equal rights, in compared to any ordinary Indian citizen.
Yeah.
How do you see that has impacted the lives? If yes, whether it has impacted really, or how do you see whether they are being benefited by that judgment, or still there is some, um, you know, a doubt, a kind of a glare is being given to them in the society whenever we talk about LGBTQ.
Well, there's a lot of debate already surrounding the judgment and the kind of law that has been passed, because a lot of it has been done without really um, taking them into the conversation. Some of it is, yes, strides moving forward, but some of it is also pretty regressive. The fact is that a lot of people, because of social conditioning, centuries of cultural conditioning, stereotyping, they haven't even started acknowledging or understanding sexual orientation as one way of looking at the diversity of gender. A lot of them are still within the man woman framework. They haven't even moved beyond that simple man woman framework. And so the question of then becoming more and more inclusive of that diversity by bringing in things like the LGBTQIA community, and acknowledging that we have just begun the gender conversation. We haven't even learned within our own gender dialogues to include the various dimensions of gender. And so that when we talk about gender mainstreaming, gender equality, a lot of people have immediately understood it only as, oh, अरे ये औरत लोग आएगा or they'll take away my काम. Basically, I'm just giving up all that I have fought so much for. And on the other hand, you'll have feminists saying we are fighting so hard and we still haven't got equality. So it's just still within that framework that a lot of conversations are happening. We really need to start widening the scope of that conversation and including everyone and every type of human being into that conversation. That range has to be covered.
So in the, let's say, in next 5 to 10 years from now, how do you see the LGBTQ community getting that reputation or getting that respect from people, what they truly deserve in today's world? Because anyhow
Well, if you see,
they're also human beings, and somewhere down the line we also have to understand that nobody was given a choice whether they will be a man or a woman or a LGBTQ community. So now whatever form they are, I guess we need to accept that fact, isn't it? So how do you see this? Time will it take for people in India to accept the fact?
I think first of all, somewhere we have to find a way to change that Universal Declaration of Human Rights itself, where we are talking about
I guess
women's rights and girls' rights are integral to human rights.
Your video just froze. Are you there with us?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Carry on, please carry on. We are listening to you.
Yeah. So I think what happens is that I think we need to first of all find a way to change that itself, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Instead of saying women's and girls' rights alone, it should be saying that all gender rights are integral to human rights. So somewhere we need to start looking beyond just the male-female thing and move into a zone where we confront all gender stereotypes and make our conversations more inclusive. So when we talk about gender equality, we tend to see it only as, okay, can a few women be allowed into this, or we're looking at corporate social responsibility. So for instance, I see a lot of progress within India. I see a lot of progress that's happened in Tamil Nadu, in Kerala, and in Maharashtra. You will find that Tamil Nadu was the first state government to include another column even in the ration cards. So male, female, transgender as an acceptable column in an official document. And Tamil Nadu is also the first state to have started consciously hiring transgenders in women's development corporations, in the family and women and child welfare groups, and bringing them in as peer educators when they are at a high risk for, let's say, HIV/AIDS. So there's been a forward progressive movement in Tamil Nadu, and to some extent in Maharashtra. If you remember, there was that recent a brilliant campaign that was run about wearing helmets and wearing seat belts using the transgender community, and they can be and how they can be represented and mainstreamed, right? They become part of the conversation. So that's how we need to start looking at it. Kerala again has been very, very progressive about legally finding recourse for LGBTQI community. Yes, there's going to be glitches. There's going to be glitches everywhere. But I think on the whole, just the fact that we are now even having this conversation, means that there is more awareness, there is some understanding. However flawed, there is some understanding. And that's a start. That's a very good start. And we need to build on this momentum now.
So having worked very sensitivity issues, what is to our viewers today on the personality of LGBTQ people? Because people are not even aware about the nature of those people, because they have not, directly or indirectly, they have communicated with them. They're not in talks with them. So if you want to tell our viewers today that LGBT community, this is the sort of, personality types that they talk so and so, they're also emotional beings as we are. So what would you like to say to our viewers, being in close, touch with them, having worked with them closely?
So one of the things is that if we go back to what we all now are beginning to discuss more, you and I have been talking about this for the past 5 weeks, right? Ancient Eastern wisdom, ancient wisdom. Let's go back to our roots, understand what we all are, where we come from, what are our roots. So whether it is here in India or I had really nice conversations with the indigenous population in the US, and almost all tribal communities across the world, whether it is the Aborigines in Australia, the Maori, that we basically have stopped talking to. We've stopped having conversations with them. The indigenous communities in the native and indigenous communities
And
here.
we lost you in between. We lost you in between.
Okay, hang on.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Can you hear me now?
So, yes, absolutely perfect.
Okay. So, for instance, almost all the tribal communities had, nearly 60 gender orientations and some 10 to 12 gender presentations, physically presenting yourself as a male or a female, or male moving into female, or male identifying as female, female identifying as male, not identifying as anything. Even if you go back to Lord Shiva and the Ardhanarishwara concept, we are talking about a combination of male and female energies and male and female perspectives that we need to all have. And so in a way, this discriminatory way of looking at the LGBTQ community as some kind of abnormality is the core of the problem. I think the core of the problem is that we have failed to understand what you were stating earlier, that this is a natural presentation of gender in different dimensions across the spectrum. And that is where we need to go back to our ancient systems, our ancient wisdom, where we recognize that there's no just male female.
So when we say there's,
but we have
there's
various ways we can present ourselves.
So when we say that there's an
Sorry?
ancient system, when we say there is an ancient system where we need to understand there is no male or female, uh, in today's world, let's talk about today's scenario today. Okay.
Yep.
In today's world, when we talk about gender equity and gender equality, where do you see we lie? Where do you see the balance lies right now? in terms of gender?
Like I said,
gender
we
equity
first
or
need
equality?
to even, so first we need to look at inclusivity, which is the big step, the first step. Once we do that, then we move to equality. And when we say equity, which means then we need to take some affirmative action. We need to create ways and means of giving them a leg up and allowing them to catch up. Because for centuries, we've not made space for anything other than male initially. And then we allowed female. And then now we are saying, okay, chalo, or bhi hai, let's bring them also in, you know. So somewhere there is a sense of male perspective, a kind of patriarchal view that I hold the control and I will allow women to come in. I will allow a transgender to come in. I will allow LGBTQIA and every other possibility. But when it suits me and when I think it will help me in some way. And I think that orientation itself has to change. There has to be a shift in our perspective where we
So
say
what do you think?
everybody
What do
has
you think
equal rights and equal opportunity. Given the
is
same
accepting
qualifications in a workplace,
is
all
accepting gender
genders
equality?
need the same kind of opportunities. That is gender equality.
Right. So is gender
Yeah.
equality as
So,
per
for
you?
instance, nobody says, oh, she's a woman. She can finish her medicine or law degree in just 3 months or 3 years, right? It's if it's 4 years, if it's 4 years. You're an engineer or a doctor or a lawyer or a media professional, whatever it is that we are today. I there a sense of okay, we'll only allow this many women because they are not so. And India's
Absolutely.
record is really, really poor on that count.
So my next question to you was, what do you think? Is gender equality a concern for today's men?
What do you mean by that?
Um, are the male species, are they, taking places? They're going
Well,
to
if if this was a form, I'm going to say, who are you to accept? You know what I mean?
exactly.
So this whole idea that you give me only 33%, right? Why 33%? If I can and if I am capable and if I am worthy and I have the skills, I will take 100%. So this whole
Absolutely.
idea that it is a prerogative of the men to accept and give itself is a problem. So that is where the problem springs, right? That's where it comes from. That the men think that they are the mainstream and everybody else has to try and fit in. And that's where I think we talk about gender mainstreaming, we talk about gender equality, we talk about the wage gap, we talk about how for the same job men are paid more, women are paid less.
So
And then, of course, in the workplace, all the other issues that we have come across. I haven't even touched that yet, what happens in
as
the
you
workplace,
said,
the
as you
gendered
said,
environment.
as you said about the workplace, we are coming to that topic in a while.
Next.
So before I move into the workplace environment, let's talk about the relationships. In today's world, what do you see are the relationships, let's say a couple, husband and a wife, there is there a sense of gender equality there? Because urban India, I can still see that yes, people are a little more conscious about that, that everybody is living their own life, they are working, they are being independent. However, when you talk about rural India, there is a long way to go, I guess, isn't it?
Actually, Rajat, you'd be surprised. It's the other way around. It's the other
Okay.
way around. Because in rural societies, they've always recognized division of labor and they've always decided, okay, you're good at this, you do this, I'm good at this, I'll do this. And there's always been a sharing of the workload, and there is no attempt to put down someone's contribution just because they're male or female. Whereas in the urban cities, in the urban spaces, what is happening is they believe that they're being sensitive, and they will say things like, oh, guess what, I actually helped my wife with the chores today in the house. It's like it's her duty, but I am helping her out, you know. So I actually find that that healthy respect for each other's abilities or each other's jobs and responsibilities is far more equal in a rural space than in an urban space. And this is the problem, honestly speaking. That is the stereotype we are dealing with. We are dealing with men who mean well. They really mean well in the urban space because they see themselves as progressive. They see
But
themselves as being sensitive to their
Uma,
wives'
if
needs or their, you
if
know.
I say I accept and I respect what statement that you make. Just to counter that point, what you just mentioned, when we talk about
Mhm.
gender equality is meant to have from men to women and women to men, isn't it? So
Yes.
when we say that the men in urban India are being stereotyped in that regard, so how come gender equality comes in between here? Because this is not also gender equality, isn't it? Because we are already
No,
stereotyping
actually,
many men.
yeah, the point is, I think the problem that we are all confronting today is that why the question of even equality? We need to first start respecting each other and celebrate, acknowledging that we are different from each other. We have different ways of functioning, we have different ways of thinking, and acknowledging and finding ways to leverage those approaches rather than saying men are good at this, women are not good at this, or women are good at this, men are not good at this. So there are these stereotypes that exist, right? That will tell you women can multitask, men can't, but men are high performers, women are not. You know, these kinds of stereotypes exist in the workspace, and that's very, very common. And there'll be a lot of ridiculous caricaturing where they will say that men will basically bully and stamp on everybody else to get ahead. Women, oh, they will use their womanly wiles and they will sleep their way to the top. So somewhere these stereotypes are so deeply ingrained in us because of media, because of family, because of societal stereotyping, because of the kind of role modeling we've seen before us in years before, whether in the corporate space or in our homes or in society in general. We have all, and I'm not blaming men alone, I am saying all of us are functioning with these frameworks and we're always seeing everything through those perspectives only. Rarely do we step out and say, okay, chalo, let's look at this objectively and say, what can we both do? How can we both come together and find ways to,
Okay.
fill the gaps that each other has?
So,
And so
just
that's where I see this whole equality thing playing out, that everybody is equal. It's just functioning is different.
as you say, a lot of external factors play a lot of influence in terms of determining the efforts that people are doing, right, in their own behavior. So how
Yep.
much, like in even in your case for that matter, that is how we started this conversation, as you said about the
Yep.
Rajnikant movie. So how much influence, the current scenario of Bollywood or movies or entertainment plays in this regard?
It
Because
has
what
a
we see
very,
is
very
something that
deep
is what we reflect.
influence. Yes, it has a very deep influence, and that is the worrying part of it for me, particularly as a woman, as a mother, as a filmmaker, as someone who's grooming future filmmakers of this country, who's already had several students who've gone on to become successful filmmakers and television producers. It's a bit disturbing because we don't understand, many people in the audience and in the film industry or in the television entertainment industry rarely realize the power they have to influence negatively or positively, either way. On the other hand, if the media continuously keeps presenting me different perspectives, then I will probably stop and think and say, okay, maybe I'm a little wrong, maybe I need to rethink. And so that's one of the reasons why, if you have the time and you go watch, see that that's what I've spoken about. I've spoken about the need to develop for a male to develop a female perspective and a female to develop a male perspective. So essentially, we need to try and understand each other and put ourselves in each other's shoes. Again, that's a very limited conversation. We need to then expand and say, what is the LGBTQI community going through? How do I make a difference in the way that they're perceived and the way that they're represented on screen and understood by audiences as they watch these representations? And so that's a space that really has a lot of potential for us to change the way these things are seen and understood and internalized. And that's a space
And
we really need
it
to
plays
start
both ways, right?
working on.
It plays both ways. So why I asked you this question was, see, I recently watched a Bollywood movie, okay, and the I'm not going to name the actress or whoever was there. The storyline was that a husband, he could not get his promotion and he slapped his wife. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
right? You know what I'm talking about, the movie Thappad that we recently
Yeah, yeah.
watched. So now in this scenario, the wife, since she was full of self-respect and she should be, she asked for a separation, XYZ thing, right? My question here is that why can't it be portrayed the other way around? When we talk about gender equality is for both ends. Why can't we portray a movie wherein the male character, who's considered to be a very strong, stereotyped mindset, who's considered to be a strong personality, why can't we create a movie or storyline where a female is over dominating over male? I have not seen many of those stories even in Bollywood or for that matter.
There have been several. There have been several in all languages, and it's been remade in Hindi also. I'm trying to remember the name in Hindi, but I can't. But it's a Rajinikanth film in the South that was
Precisely my
remade in
point, because
Hindi.
we can't recollect because that is something which has not been ventured out into details. That isn't it, right? Because
Well,
as
the
you said,
point is that
this is the mindset about Indian audience, that male is a more stronger and a superior gender. So that is what the belief, and whenever a movie is being made, they consider that male will slap a female and not a female will slap a male. So it
no,
goes both
every
ways, I
time they
believe.
want to show a woman who is not well behaved, a woman who's arrogant, they
Mm-hmm.
will show her slapping a male. They have done it in several films, in several scenes. If you go back, you'll recall once you start looking at it from that
So I have seen
perspective. It's
certain
about
movies.
what
Yes,
kind
I
of
have seen certain
character
movies.
that they are portraying, right? So a lot of times, the point for us, at least for people like me who are fighting for this, it is not about, oh, only a male can't slap or female can slap. No, we are saying slapping itself is wrong, first
Of
of all,
course,
right? The violence itself
raising
is
hand is wrong.
unacceptable in a relationship. And
Raising a
secondly,
hand
it's
is wrong.
also that I think Thappad was badly written. It had the heart and its rights in the right place. It was intended to carry an interesting message that nobody has the right to slap another person in a relationship and not pay the price for it and not even regret it. And so the story is that it moves that way. But I think it didn't explore that whole idea that it's about the violence. It's not about the husband slapping the wife, and it's not about the wife asking for a separation. So the point of
Precisely.
the film got completely lost in that. The conversation should have been more about what was the blow to her as a person, what was that blow to the sense of self and the sense of self-esteem, because she comes across as someone who's just clueless and just reacted knee-jerk because he slapped her. She was like, okay, I'm going to separate, and she was just brooding.
Absolutely.
So for me, it was a problematic film because it didn't, from the get-go, it doesn't show me that this girl is aware of herself as a person, because she was quite happy to give a dowry. She was quite happy to marry this man and be the ideal housewife, ideal daughter-in-law, ideal sister-in-law. She was perfectly happy to fall into all the societally defined gender roles. She never
True.
questioned it up until that moment. And for me, that itself is an issue, because we start with saying nobody has the right to tell you what to do or be whatever. You choose that. So the point of all our fights for gender equality is to say that just as a man doesn't feel that he has to fit in some stereotype. A woman shouldn't feel. But the fact of the reality out there is that men are also confined and restrained to certain images because that's what the society is expecting of them, and they've also been conditioned to behave in a particular way. So both have issues, because both the film had a lot of issues because it's also not really setting the stage for this guy to be totally a bad person or anything like that, and everything is just hinging on that one tappad, and somehow that's why the film is not doing what it set out to do. And it's everybody's like, "Arey, kya yaar, overreaction kar diya. What is that? Just one slap and she wants a divorce. She doesn't know what she wants in life, right?" So there's a big issue because the way the film has been shown, the issue is lost in the whole thing. So for me, it is a question of sensitizing young minds. At they will go back and question, and they will say, "This is not acceptable to me." And so we create an entire sensitive generation after this. So
Precisely.
that is the whole goal when we talk about gender sensitization, gender equality.
Absolutely. So let's move to a different tangent. So just for our viewers, we will take your questions. Huh? Uma is there to answer your questions as well. So if you have anything in mind to be asked to her, please do type in there. So Uma, before we move to the next, I have a question for you in terms of the corporate environment. So
Yes.
when you look at the corporate scenario, corporate setup in today's world, we see many females or many ladies are taking the higher positions, right? How do you see the balance has shifted, and how easy it is in terms of people to agree and to comprehend and to be open to that change? Is it been easy, or do they really face stiff resistance from people?
I think there's still a lot of resistance everywhere. McKinsey Global did a research, and they said something like this. According to a 2018 report from Catalyst, which is a non-profit group, women make up just 5.2% of CEOs at
Mm-hmm.
Fortune 500 companies. That's just 26 female CEOs in the entire world. And that's a very small number, really speaking. So it's a big battle that we're still fighting. And also the fact that a lot of women representation on boards, that will be the crucial decision making groups in corporate sector, very few women are there in that space, even though it feels like that, right? So every meeting you sit, there is a woman CEO, there's a woman vice president, and so you feel, oh wow, the women are really all over the place. But actually speaking, in key decision making positions, very few women in Fortune 500 companies, of course. But the corporate environment has today made it a kind of policy, right? So the whole, I mean, they will on paper at least state offer equal opportunity to all women and men and LGBTQIA, depending on qualifications and the work that they do, and ensure that the environment does not encourage harassment, abuse, discrimination, all that. But in reality, there's a lot of male-oriented kind of environment in corporate setups. And so, for instance, I'll just give you a couple of examples, and then perhaps as questions come, we can add some of the things. So, one of the straightforward things that we've always found is something as simple as toilets. Yeah. So, very few organizations have enough toilets for the number of women that they have in their organization. Need for bathrooms. Otherwise, they have one women's toilet in one floor, and then you have to keep climbing up and down. I don't know if you saw this Hidden Figures, which was about the team of women who actually launched the mission to the moon, right? And which in India we saw Mangal, whatever, I can't remember the name.
Mangalyaan.
Mission Mangal, right?
Mission Mangal.
In the original, the Hollywood film, you will find that the woman who actually cracks that whole issue of why the propeller is not going off right, she has to go to the end of the compound to use the toilet and come, because doubly discriminated. One, I haven't even moved into the race, overall gender, right? So she's a woman and she's black, and so she can't use the toilets where these people are sitting as a scientist, but she has to go somewhere in the campus and come back. So just to show you how even that can be very, very difficult for women, having not enough toilets for their use on every floor. Inappropriate behavior that men think is perfectly fine, having these silly jokes that they make, oh, I'm trapped, I'm married, so I'm trapped. Things like that, which really make it feel like as if women are horrible. And, life is so difficult with women. Saying things like, oh, take her to the client meeting because just looking at her, he will give us the case. Small little examples of inappropriate behavior that can actually make the work environment very difficult for the woman to function comfortably. And if you go into the LGBTQIA community, there are a lot of toilets that are, if a transgender woman walks into a women's toilet, the women object to it, saying that, hello, why is this person coming into our space? So I'm not only talking about men discriminating, there are women also discriminating in a workspace in a corporate setup. And you have stereotypes and the kind of rude and inappropriate comments people will make, the behavior, they don't know how to address people, they use all kinds of wrong terminology. So these are some of the small things. Or they'll say, oh, she or he is just a CSR token employee, so we don't have to give them any work to do. They just have to be there so that the company has a good name that they've given an LGBTQIA person a job. Those kinds of simple things can also create an environment that's not very conducive to an inclusive setup.
Okay, fair
And of
enough.
course, the gender wage gap.
So now, since you have been around the world and you have spread awareness about gender equality and gender sensitivity, what do you think? You said
Hear your question.
you said there are issues between the two countries in terms of gender equality, but the issues are different. So if
Yeah.
I say which separate India and America, what would be your answer?
Well, the answer is not much. If anything, America is equally sexist as Indians. So I don't really find that much of a difference. The when here we will have here we have maybe regional discrimination variations. So, for instance, maybe based on someone's language, maybe based on someone's clothes, costumes, or based on someone's caste orientation. When they come from a particular caste or from a particular.
So I was asking you about the differences. You said that it's almost the same.
It's pretty similar. Only the dimensions will shift because there you have race, you have socioeconomic class, you'll have visa status being used as a kind of beating stick. Whereas here you will have the community you belong to, whether you're from a particular part of India or the kind of clothes you wear, inappropriate kind of costumes, as they call it. So you'll find the differences there, and sexism is something that's there across the world. No matter
Mm-hmm.
how progressive a country looks, a lot of the stereotypes are similar.
Okay.
In fact, I
So
guess the only difference, if you want to say, would be that at least in Western corporate scenario, people are conscious of the fact that men and women are different, and they work towards finding those points of connect. Whereas here, I think and of course, a lot of times it's also about the one issue that is common to both is that they expect women to man up, meaning you got to work, you just have to prove yourself you're equal to the man, as opposed
right.
to saying what is she bringing to the table, and that is common in both
So
places.
many a times it's been observed that, especially in a corporate setup, men can joke anything, and it happens vice versa as well. You know. When- So how do you see? Because somewhere down the line, when you hear a term sexual harassment, Posh is
Yeah.
famous for that. When you hear the term sexual harassment, the first thing comes in mind, male fault, isn't it? How do
Yes.
you, how do we get onto that kind of a mindset that यार करा तो गलती आदमी नहीं होगा?
I think it's simply because of the sheer numbers, right? It's just that there are more males in a workspace, and when there is a harassment against a woman, it's more likely to be reported and more likely to be discussed and accepted easily. We have seen the reverse in some cases. We've seen the reverse not just in workspaces, even in the domestic space, we've seen the reverse happening, right? And people don't believe it so easily. They will be like, oh no,
True.
it's like the minute they say the man beat her, they will believe it. But when the woman is torturing a man, it takes a longer time for people to accept, because somehow the conversation from the beginning has always been about, when you say harassment, it's male and female, male harassing female. And
So this is a
unfortunately,
very,
even in
what
terms
you
of
said.
bureau, if you talk to the crime reports, the police records, you will find that barely enough is being reported actually. But what is reported, you will find the numbers of males harassing women far outweigh the females harassing them in terms of
So
ratio,
as you said,
obviously.
that might be because males have not even gone on to that extent to report something, because societal pressures. आदमी अरे बीवी से मार खाता है, अरे इससे पिट गया. So there are a lot of
It's
things comes into
possible,
picture.
but we have brought out several reports where we've done in-depth research, and we have found that even in terms of occurrence, female harassment of males to the large-scale harassment by males or females. So,
Okay.
unfortunately, that is the way the world plays. So, it's also about
So I
how we are
think
biologically created, right? So there's how we think biologically and how we behave biologically, and also social. Don't do it. I'm only saying that the fact is the numbers are much higher, so that is why the perception is also like that. And I think that's where we, many of us who are working in the gender space, try to address that and say, let's not look at it as male or female, just look at it as harassment, just look at it as
exactly.
violence, just look at it as not giving someone space or voice. So we try to not bring in the gender into it. We call it, we make it a neutral space.
So this is something that we have also discussed in the last month and a half about so many times that we have had these discussions about how self awareness plays a very crucial role in accepting your own very self, because
Yes,
many a times people fail to realize about what they genuinely are, and they are expecting a certificate from certain other people that boss to ye hai. And this can also
right.
be a really difficult situation for somebody to accept that. And when I say some people, it is primarily I'm talking about LGBTQ community, because
Yeah,
the way we look at those people, we give a certificate to them. And this is something
yeah.
that many of us we really need to mend our ways. And when I say we, I am including everybody around me, including myself.
Yes,
So
I
we really
think
need to
it
get into
is.
that
It
situation.
had the change has to come from within each one of us, where we say, well, I'm going to first of all take stock and find out what I am, where I stand, what my views are, and how correct or incorrect those views are, and what can I do to correct those views or my perceptions and my way of conducting myself in a corporate space or in a space that where I'm meeting so many different people. It works both ways, in the sense that I think everybody has to work towards this. So sometimes you will find that the LGBTQIA community, for instance, is so fed up with the way they've been boxed and caricatured and stereotyped that they play to that stereotype. They will be like, Chalo, you are expecting me to do this, I shall do this,
True.
right? So, well, you're not allowing me to be anything else. You are expecting me to do this, right? And quite often, celebrities reinforce that, films reinforce that, and so audiences also are automatically expecting that behavior. So, what happens? You play to the expectations, and so that's where I think all of us need to stop, step back, introspect, and start taking stock and doing a self-aware. Am I saying something that is acceptable? Am I saying something that is sensitive? Am I saying something that is inclusive? If I'm not, then I have to change. So I think that change from within has to come with each and every one of us. And I think that begins with saying that each of us has different traits and qualities that are sometimes seen as masculine, sometimes seen as feminine. So that basic definition of what is masculine, what is feminine, what are these traits, why do we think only men can do this or women can do this? So the traits and abilities somehow get connected.
True.
So I
True.
think that's where we need to stop and think and say, can I shift these definitions about traits and abilities and say that each of us, every one of us has male, female, and different other qualities that cannot even be categorized as male or female. And each of us needs to pull it out, whatever that trait is, whatever that ability and skill set is, and bring it out for the situation and what it demands. And that's where I firmly believe that we need to go back somewhere to the Ardhanarishwara concept, where it's not saying that Shiva is half and Parvati is half, or the yin yang concept, where we say that all of us have certain things within us. We need to find balance within us. And that balance will then get reflected in the way we communicate, the way we interact with people. And when that balance happens between two people, that communicates to the group, and that balance will then overall communicate in the organization. And somewhere it will become part of our culture of engaging with ourselves. Automatically gives us the ability to try and strike a balance with the other person and say, can we meet halfway? Can you do something? Can I do something? And can we find ways to help each other and actually build a stronger team? And I think that's where we need to start shifting.
I really wish it was that easy for a lot of people,
It is
because this is
not.
the
It is
challenge which,
not. Yeah.
right, exactly.
I
So
mean,
you know
I'm
what?
looking at a utopian setup that's not happening today. It's not happening tomorrow. It'll happen in years' time, because I do think that in spite of all the criticisms we may have regarding the millennials, we keep saying, oh, they're so irresponsible. They don't want to do this. They want, my generation, those of us who were born in the 60s, we tend to criticize the next generation. But I do have a lot of faith in them, because I see that they have a collective social conscience which somehow is questioning everything. And that's a good
True.
start, because they are those who are in their 40s, 30s, these are people who are going to now move into positions of power. They're going to become leaders, they're going to become decision makers in organizations, they're going to be innovators, they're going to be entrepreneurs. And these are people who are ushering in a more balanced and more equal space for everyone to function. And this whole approach where you say, what is your skill, play to that skill, is coming in slowly as a corporate culture, I think. And I think that's something that we need to inculcate and learn from a lot of young people on how to be more inclusive, how to be more sensitive, and how to be more non-judgmental. And I think that is where all of us have to make the shift.
Brilliant. So you were being absolutely truthful to us. You have given a lot of insights to us today. So, my viewers, do you have any questions for Uma? If you have any question, please do chat. Type in the chat box. We are waiting for your questions. Uma, I hope you don't mind another 10 minutes.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I have time. Sure. 10 minutes, yes. 8:30, I have a tech meeting with my US college. Yes.
Brilliant. So 10 minutes, people.
Hey,
Let's
Ananya,
throw up some
welcome. I'm
questions
glad you're
for her.
here. Good to see Pushpanjali's comment about the ratio of higher incidence and the more gruesome incidents of violence is somehow, unfortunately, from the male side and not from the female side.
Right.
We have sporadic cases of women harassing men. Yes.
So I guess there are
I can't
no
really see the
questions.
question. Lots of people watching, but I can't see questions.
I guess the first video people who are watching, they must have had questions. So there was this one question in the
Okay,
previous
so they
video which I
disappear.
watched. There was this one question in the previous video that I saw. They said that everybody has their own understanding, you know, in terms of gender equality or in terms of gender sensitivity. And we can try, but it is very difficult to change the mindset of those people. What do you say to the?
Yeah, I would agree to some extent that you can't completely change someone or what they've grown up with for a long time. You know, in Tamil we have a saying, "Aindil valayadadu, aimbadil valayadu," which means something that you can't change at the age of 5. You're not going to be able to change it at the age of 50. I'm sure every language has its
True.
equivalent of that saying, right? But the point is that the mind is a very powerful tool that we have, and you and I know this from all the training that we are doing. We know that
True.
it is possible. It is possible to change, and it is possible to rethink, relearn, unlearn. So one of the things we can focus on is say, well, you have your idea, I have my idea, but what is it that is acceptable to more people? It's not about you, and it's about everybody else. And it is about something that is acceptable in a space where everybody feels comfortable, everybody feels welcomed, everybody feels included. And so at that point, I think we need to start bringing in the awareness. So ideally, you do gender sensitization workshops with mixed groups and heterogeneous groups and the entire range of LGBTQIA, whatever is available in that workspace or in the community, and you start building on creating a common understanding of certain specific terminology, certain specific definitions that everybody has to understand in the same way. And then, of course, talk about appropriate and inappropriate behaviors and attitudes, and slowly then hope that that can bring a change in behavior through demonstrations, through sharing of painful stories of exclusion or discrimination or inappropriateness. Once you start asking people to share these stories, I think then from a position of resistance, people will at least move into a position of sympathy first. From there, hopefully, to empathy and acceptance. So it's a long journey, yes, but it's possible. I'm a very hopeful, optimistic person. I always believe anything is possible, and I think it is possible.
That is the spirit, and that is what we really want. And I hope that you enjoyed your session today with me at Let's Talk Dil Se with Rajat. And we may have another conversation some other time on some other topic. And our viewers would
Yes,
definitely look forward to.
and in spite of all the technical glitches, because you learn something every day. I'm learning something new today. This is the first time I've come on FB Live, and I had no clue how to deal with the technology. I had a little kid who was my daughter's friend who was coaching me on
So I would
FB
like to
Messenger.
mention, I would like to mention how I got this idea of the topic that we are discussing today. So when I last week I put in certain videos of I put in certain videos on YouTube and Facebook on certain topics, and being a trainer myself, I have a lot of crew whom I have trained earlier. So there is this one lady whose last comment is there, Shirin Abdul. You see on the screen right now. She was the one who suggested me this topic.
Ah, okay.
That, sir, please do something on gender equality, because a lot of people Sharon. She has
Shirin.
a diploma.
Ah, right.
Yeah. So she messaged me and she said, "Sir, please do discuss about gender equality, or please say something." So I said, "Why to say? Why not bring a subject matter expert on this?" So that is how we come up to this topic, and it was really enlightening for me as well, because I have learned many great things in today's workshop, in today's small chat that we had, and I'm sure that viewers also must have enjoyed. There are no questions, I guess, from people, since a lot of things. So until next time, Uma, we will definitely come back again.
As long as we've given people food for thought, it's time well spent.
Absolutely. And
The
being,
questions will
I have
come
worked
much
with
later, because once they go back and think about it, process it, then the questions will come. So we can always have another
precisely,
face to face
precisely.
later on.
Thank you so much for your time. It was great having you on Talk Dil Se with Rajat. Here.
Yes, I did. Thank you for this idea, because you know, all of us have these ideas and we don't really share it with everybody. But this is in a way a good way to start off this dialogue and conversation, and hopefully we'll carry
Okay,
this
so
forth in our workshops and other spaces. Yes.
I guess I've got a question for you, Uma, before we leave.
Sure.
So
Yes.
Pushpanjali is asking this question that I have this question asked to me so many times. How do we start bringing the awareness among family first? Because family members tend to be so rigid in these terms. How to go about it?
I can tell you that it is a struggle, because the most resistance you will find in the family, and you will be fighting a huge enemy as you set on this journey of creating a gender neutral or a gender sensitive space. And often you fight those battles first, and you realize what are those struggles. You will find every turn in your family, whether it is your parents, your siblings, your partners, your children. A lot of times it's really interesting. So I often do certain things. What I do is I will be very firm and I will state my opinion and I will say this is how it's going to be. And they resist at first, and then after a point they begin to see your point, because you keep saying it over and over and over again. In a way, it prepares you for the battle outside. So you can start anticipating what are all the resistances outside by seeing the resistances inside. And often what I do is I do it through my children, by role modeling with your children. In my case, yes, I had that strategy. I could use my children to role model, and they were taught from very young that my son would be. I got my son a kitchen set as his birthday gift in the first birthday. Rest of the family that you are not going to tell my son that he should not cook. And I made it a point that every week, you start making certain small rituals that the family begins to, initially maybe they resist, but after a point they accept it. So for instance, when we were newly married, both of us were new to household work and cooking and everything. And we were living in Dubai, which means we had no family support system to help us. So it was very natural. It would be like, okay, chalo, I'll wash the dishes, you wash the toilet, I'll wash the clothes, you wash the balcony. So it became that, okay, sharing, right? And so when the children grow up watching their parents doing this very naturally, as if it's like, it is the job, that's it. Nobody sees it as a male job or a female job. So breaking that barrier is the first battle. The domains that are created and said this is male, this is female, that is what you need to fight first, and that really takes a lot of effort. There are no tried and tested formulas that I can share with you. You play it as it happens around you. So my battles often were with my parents in the beginning, when you want to study a particular course, and they'll be like, why would you want to do that? That's a dangerous course. So for instance, I wanted to study journalism. So, oh no, why do you want to be a journalist? You will come home late, and neighbors were asking questions. And then after a point, my parents realized that, oh no, why, she's doing something really important. So if she comes home at 11, who are they to question it? So it starts with your family. You need to tell them, sorry, you have to stand up for me. I'm your child and you stand up for me and my choices. So I think I was fortunate that I had parents who were willing to do that for me. But yes, it's a big battle, Pushpa. I agree that it is the most difficult, because parents are very set in their ways. But slowly, 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 Chinese water technique, just keep on and on and on, putting that drop of water, drop of water, drop of water. Somewhere it'll become a stream, somewhere they can't fight it, they swim along with you. There's no other
I
choice.
remember, I remember somewhere, sometime, somebody told me that constant reiteration is something which is very important. You know,
Yes.
if you
Yes.
every second, third, fourth day you go and say, this has to be done, and that person will eventually do it because he or she also knows that you will again come back.
Yeah.
So brilliant. I hope Pushpanjali that answered your question. Anything else? Anybody else has a question for Uma? Bhavani says that her battle was with her grandmother. Okay.
Oh
So
yes,
now I guess
yes.
Uma has answered that question
But sometimes, you know, your grandparents could become your allies. Just to piss off your parents, no, they will join hands with you. So you never know. It can work that way. I mean, you know, it depends. You just need to find that point of alignment with them.
Brilliant, brilliant. Thank you, Pushpanjali. I guess she got the answer. So this
Yeah.
was our conversation with Miss Uma Wangal, the person who wears many hats. She's a filmmaker. She's an ex-TEDx speaker. She's a gender rights activist. She is also a film, uh, what do you say, professor, as well as
Professor.
a wellness coach, as well as a wellness coach. So we wish Uma a great health, great evening, and thank you very much for joining us. So this was
Thank
Rajat from
you.
Talk Dil Se with Rajat. This is the message for today, that if you have to be gender sensitive, it is more about respecting the other person first. Right? Thank you very much. Hope you like the session. We'll meet again next
Thank you.
time with a new personality. Thank you, Uma. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
See you, everyone. Take care. Bye bye.